On January 6, 1998, I was sitting in a Doctor of Ministry class at Regent University in Virginia Beach when I got called out of class to take a phone call. Nothing on earth can psychologically prepare you to hear the life-altering words that you've lost a loved one. Bob Schmidgall wasn't just my father-in-law, he was a spiritual father. He planted and pastored Calvary Church in Naperville, Illinois for 31 years. It was his example that inspired my dream of pastoring one church for life. He was my mentor, my model for ministry. He wasn't perfect, but there was a unique anointing on his life. 2 days before that phone call, my father-in-law celebrated his 55th birthday. He was in the prime of life, the prime of ministry. At his annual physical, his physician had told him, "I could drive a Mack truck through your arteries." How could he die from a massive heart attack days later? If you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you know that it poses questions that are unanswerable on this side of eternity. And while God gives the oil of joy for mourning, our grieving doesn't resolve until we enter a dimension of reality the Bible calls heaven. The days following his death were an emotional blur, and that's the grace of God. The spirit goes into shock, much like the body. I don't remember much from the days surrounding his death, but there is one moment I will never forget. After driving from Virginia Beach back to Washington, D.C. in record time, Laura and I caught the next flight to Chicago. A few hours, but what felt like a lifetime later, we found ourselves at Frederick Jones Funeral Home in Naperville, Illinois. It's hard for me to describe what happened next, and I can't explain why I prayed what I prayed. But as I stood at the foot of my father-in-law's casket, I asked God for a double portion of his spirit. I'm not sure I knew exactly what I was asking for, but I knew I needed his anointing if I was going to honor my father-in-law's legacy. So I asked God for a double portion, not unlike the prophet Elisha. Toward the end of his ministry, the prophet Elijah knew his days were numbered. So he said to his apprentice, Elisha, "Tell me, what can I do for you before I am taken from you?" I suppose Elisha could have asked for any number of things, including Elijah's estate. But Elisha made no bones about what he really wanted. He said, "Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit." Is it any coincidence that Elisha's curriculum vitae includes 28 miracles, exactly twice as many as his prophetic mentor? I think not. But let me flip the script. The true measure of Elijah's success was not the 14 miracles he had a hand in. It was watching the next generation do things he didn't even dare dream of. Simply put, success is succession. Please don't read that as a platitude. Success is handing the baton to those who come behind us and cheering them on as they run farther and faster than we did. My undergraduate education began at the University of Chicago. The U of C has produced 98 Nobel laureates, but I'm not sure any of them left as big an imprint as its famed football coach, Amos Alonzo Stagg. Stagg coached the original Monsters of the Midway for 4 decades, winning 2 national titles in 1905 and 1913. His brainchildren include the huddle, the onside kick, the T formation, and the forward pass. Amos Alonzo Stagg invented football as we know it, but that isn't his greatest legacy. When he accepted the invitation to coach, he gave an acceptance speech of sorts to the university president. He said, "After much thought and prayer, I have decided that my life can best be used for my master's service in the position you have offered." Stagg would coach football until the age of 98, but he didn't just coach his teams, he discipled his players. After one of his winning seasons, a beat reporter congratulated the coach on a job well done. Instead of passively receiving that compliment, Stagg coached that young reporter. He said in his straightforward manner, "I won't know how good a job I did for 20 years. That's when I'll see how my boys turned out.